Yo, what is up, everyone? It is Joe Fucarino with Therapy Without a Degree. Chapter 246, 247, something like that. We almost in the 250s. Yeah, you already know. We here. It is just me and Princess today. Princess is over here roaming around, trying to duck and dodge wires. And then I have a very, very special guest in the building. Some of y'all may know her. Some of y'all may not. If you don't, get to know her. All right. Got a really special guest in the building. Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Hello, hello, hello. My name is Tyra Wright-Pagan. Hello, everyone.
What's going on? How you been?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. How about yourself?
I'm okay. When was the last time we saw each other? We saw each other for the event, the Pride event, right?
Last time we saw each other was a Pride event.
That was a good
correct. Day. It was a good day.
Yo, that time is flying.
This year is flying.
Right?
This year is flying. August was 2 days. September was about 4 days long. And now we're in October.
And I'll tell you one thing. I'm not ready for the cold.
I am.
You like the cold?
I am. I'm a summer baby, but I will take the cold.
Yeah, you're a Leo, right?
I'm a Leo.
Okay, I remember. See? I remember. I remember about you Leos.
Good memory.
Yes. Nah, but so you like the summer, but you really like the winter.
I would say more so fall.
Yeah,
like
fall.
This is my weather right here.
Yeah.
A hoodie. Call it a day.
I like the fall too, but the winter, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for the winter.
I don't mind it as long as it's not a bunch of snow.
Yeah, and we be lucky around here. It doesn't snow too much.
Yeah, it's not too bad. We had a decent year last year, and then the year before last, we hardly had any snow.
Yeah, but it was cold this past winter though.
I'll take it. It's winter. It's supposed to be cold.
Nah, I'm good. I want to be a snowbird. I want to be a snowbird. I want to be one of those people that just leave and go to Cali or go to Miami or go somewhere.
And when it's all over, you come right back.
Yes.
Sounds good.
That's goals. Like that is like one of the ultimate goals for me. Like right after January, my birthday is January 3rd.
Oh, okay, Capricorn.
Yes, you already know. Is your husband a Capricorn? He's a Pisces. Guys, I remember we were talking about that. Pisces are super dope.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Do you know many Caps? I feel like those Caps are like slept on.
I know a lot of Caps.
You do?
Yes, male Caps.
Male Capricorns.
Male Capricorns, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Very peculiar.
Very peculiar. How so?
I believe, from the experiences and interactions from the Capricorn men that I did know, very hardworking.
We try.
Very hardworking, very determined, but very hard on themselves. They're their worst critics. Like everyone else, but it's just something personal with Capricorns. I feel it's like it's never enough. It's never good enough. Yeah. Perfection.
See, yeah. I mean, for me personally, I know like there's no such thing as perfect.
Right.
I actually hate when people even use that phrase and things.
Right.
Because like nothing is perfect. But
get close enough to
Close
it.
enough. Close enough.
I knew you were going to say it.
You got to get close.
I read your mind, Joe.
Got to get close because, if not, it's like, I don't know.
Room for improvement.
Yeah, you got to always be able to do the best you can.
I'm telling you. Absolutely. I think that's just across the board. That's just people. That's just human beings. We should want to strive for the best.
A lot of people don't. Though.
Mediocre is not, it's not the thing. That's not it.
Y'all talk. Talk your shit. I told you can. A lot of people don't know that they should be allergic to average.
No. I feel, especially as a parent, and I feel after a certain age, you should want to have a certain standard. And I feel we're not the same person every 5 years. I think we should evolve. And if you are, there's something that you have to check. Like, check the inventory. That's what I always say. Self-reflect. Like, okay, I'm here now. What do I need to do to move towards or go forward to the next thing? We should always want to keep reaching, keep striving. Don't get comfortable being comfortable.
Yeah.
Get uncomfortable.
Get out of that comfort zone.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
You know what's funny? A lot of Leos too are around that vibe, around that very self-reflection vibe. And that's why I always fuck with y'all too, because it is super important to be that and also to be introspective.
Yeah.
You know? So what I want to know for you is like in those moments of like self-reflection, what is that for you? What is that for Tyra? Like, is that at a park? Is that journaling? Do you do it often? Like, what is that?
I journal. I wouldn't say that I journal daily, but I journal if like a thought comes to me or if something happened or occurred. I always journal. I've been journaling for years. And sometimes I even go back in certain years. I even have journals and I do it every year. And I even go back to certain years just to see the growth, just to see if there's any transition in a certain area or any change, you know?
So what's some stuff now that you're like, okay, stuff that you're willing to share? Like what's on the vision board now? What's in the journal now for the things that you kind of want to, you know, like shift for your next 5 years?
Definitely, I would say, you know, for myself, being mom, being wife, my goal, and my goal has been for a while now, Tyra. Becoming Tyra. Because even though I am Tyra, but I'm Tyra the mom, Tyra the wife, I am learning to find out who Tyra is, what Tyra likes, what Tyra wants to do, and what makes Tyra happy outside of the other titles.
That's super important. Because a lot of people, it's funny you say that. Because I'm working on something that breaks a lot of that down.
Really?
Yeah. I'll show you. We're not going to talk about it, but I'll show you. Okay. I'll give you a little sneak peek.
Okay.
Because I think that is like so important.
I think it's vital.
Yeah. And I feel like we, like you said, you know, your mom, your wife, your many other things.
Right.
And especially when, going back to what we were saying before, when you're striving and you're hustling and you're trying not to be average and trying to be the best person you could be, it's tough sometimes because while you're working on yourself, you could sometimes lose yourself.
Absolutely.
Or just lose that focus. Or sometimes people don't even get to know themselves, really who they are.
Absolutely, because you're pulled in so many different directions. It's like you put yourself on the back burner, not even being aware that you're doing it, but you're so demanded in so many different areas. It's like, okay, I don't have time for myself, you know? And if you think about it, you start feeling that guilt, like I'm being selfish. And that was a lot of things with me, you know, because I was so demanded being a mom. Like I told you before, I'm a mom of 3. One of my sons has muscular dystrophy. So that's heavy. And then I'm being a wife. And also, you know, my grandparents are getting older. So I'm the caretaker. So it's like you're pulled in so many different directions that where does Tyra solely come in? But I had to realize, and I am realizing still, that is just as important, because if I don't know who Tyra is, what Tyra likes, Tyra's dislikes, how am I going to be a big influence, a big impact on anything or anyone I come in contact with?
Exactly. It's extremely important because who you are is really going to be able to help all those situations.
Absolutely.
Like for you to be the best mom you could be, you do need to dig in to yourself, you know, to be the best wife, to be the best friend, to be all those different things. You do have to dig. And not saying like, because I am one to always say like, I don't like how, you know, a lot of times, because again, it goes back to being perfect. Everyone's always like, oh, well, you got to work on yourself first and you got to love yourself to the most first before you could do anything. I don't like those because it's like, okay, then, you know, life is short.
Right.
You know, why should you wait? Like we're always growing. Like you said, every 5 years,
absolutely,
you're growing, you're changing. So I don't believe that we should put our life on hold.
Not at all. We don't have that luxury to do so. But I am a big advocate of being a work in progress.
Exactly.
You know, you can't. Life doesn't stop. So why should we?
Yeah, 1,000%. And I'm gonna pull up while you're kind of going. So I want to know, like, what for you, what made you realize that? Like, what made you realize, wow, okay, I gotta kind of like, even though, because we always feel as we're going through life and our 20s and the early 30s and all
Right.
that fun stuff. You're thinking, oh, you know yourself. Like I was talking with a good friend yesterday about it. We did a podcast session with somebody that was 22.
Okay.
And shout out to them, great individual.
Awesome.
But we were laughing and we were like, yeah, when we were 22, we thought we
Knew it all, had it all mapped out.
we felt like, and it was because we felt like we'd been through a lot, and we
Right.
did. Our feelings
for that time,
yeah.
for that age, for that season, you did.
But
in
like retrospect, it's like, you still got a shitload of life.
Absolutely.
So for you, what was it like a certain moment in your life that you were like, damn, okay, you know what, I gotta start digging into Tyra. What was that?
It was a few things. It was something so simple, but it was so big. I'll never forget, Joe. One day I was talking to someone, just, general conversation like you and I. And they asked me a simple question. They said, what do you like to do? I couldn't even answer them. I could not even answer them because I was so connected to sports, mom stuff, being a wife, food shopping and house stuff, that I couldn't even answer that simple question. And that made me so sad because at that moment, I realized you lost yourself. And one thing about losing yourself, see, people think that's the end. But if you have the mindset, because everything starts with a mindset, that was the beginning for me. Like, okay, wow, I had the epiphany. What am I going to do now? How are you going to change that? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, from that moment.
Yeah. And another thing was, my mom and I, we were very close. And my mom was diagnosed with cancer. Mom, May, she going to Puerto Rico for Mother's Day. Memorial Weekend, she's in Myrtle Beach. June, she's in Atlanta. Middle of July, she was diagnosed stage 4 cancer. Passed away 5 weeks later.
Wow.
That was something that rocked me. And I'll never forget, I had a dream with my mom in it. And my mom was the type of person, she was a Leo also. So my mom loved to shop. She loved to live life. And my mom was in the store in the dream. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm buying this. Why not? She said, I'm living my life. You better live yours. And I felt that was her speaking to me like, life could change in a second. Find something to always be grateful for. Find a goal and always work towards it, no matter what.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes, and that's why, before we were recording, I was like, sometimes things are bigger than us, especially when it comes as far as death. And the reason I say that is because, unfortunately, sometimes it takes things like that for us to awaken or shift or just change your life.
Absolutely.
Like me too. I lost my mom when I was 24 years old.
Right.
I was 24. It was 2014. And, in that, all before that made me, who I am today.
Right.
But then when she passed, that was a kick drive.
Yeah. You went into overdrive.
It was
after
like
that.
overdrive. It took everything that I built, like mentally and all that.
Yeah.
And it said, okay, now are you going to use all that now? Because I'm going to show you like whatever, or you're not. And I chose to obviously use that.
Right. Utilize it.
Use that fuel.
Absolutely.
Use all that experience and then use the pain and then, and for me, it was a slow, like, you never know. Things could be sudden. Like I said, your situation, my shit was over time. You knew, like you knew it was coming.
But I feel even if it is expected, it's still not easy. And that's what people fail to realize. Some people say, well, you had to expect it or, because of the diagnosis, but you're never prepared. Never prepared.
Yeah, it don't matter what.
It doesn't matter if it was sudden or expected. It feels the same.
Yeah. But sometimes you need those things in life. Unfortunately, not even that you need it, but those are the things that will just...
Life happens.
Life happens. And I always say now, sometimes you never know. Like you probably wouldn't be...
who you are.
The mom you are today.
Absolutely.
The Tyra you are today.
Absolutely.
The wife you are today.
Absolutely.
The community support that you are today.
Absolutely. I feel life happens. We can't stop it, and we don't have a blueprint of what's going to happen in life. But it's not about what happens, I feel. It's about what happens after the happen. You know what I mean? Like, you have a choice. Everything starts with a choice, but it's up to you. And I remember, when my mom passed, I was devastated. My mom and I were very close. And I'll never forget. I'm like, don't let this make me bitter. I was praying like, God, don't make me bitter. Make me better. I kept saying it. Don't make me bitter, because it started with a choice.
Yeah. And it's perspective.
Yep.
It's perspective on everything in life. And for me, that changed, perspective along with, like you said, digging into who you are.
Absolutely.
For me, that changed my life. And I don't, I'm not going to say it, but this is what I'm working on.
Right.
So it's it's a book.
Right.
But this is, and I have, because I feel like it's so important.
It's vital.
That was the number one thing for me. That was the number one thing that got me out of like a depression. And it really was. It was like, because you think you know who you are, but you don't really know. Like, you do, but you didn't dissect it, and you didn't reflect to it. And again, sometimes they even say, that's what therapy really is, and going back in, digging that in, getting to know yourself, the whys.
And I really feel that the book that you're working on, that is the foundation. That's like someone is building a house. You start with the foundation, and you can't build anything. Like, you set a foundation up, you can't just automatically start building a house. You got to take time. And I feel we have to take time getting to know the whys and working on certain things. And I always say this quote about my children. I want to teach my kids things early that I learned late. Foundation.
Yeah. And it's a lot of stuff that we just didn't, as kids. Like, I always try to, like, because, a lot of people have gone through different things.
Absolutely.
Especially a lot of us are, sometimes gone through similar things, similar backgrounds. And I always do try to say, though, like, we live in a different time, like whole different time. And just kind of like how their parents, it was so different.
Right.
Yo, at this age, I'm starting to realize, like, it was so different. Like, no one was ever talking about reflecting and like everything.
They didn't talk to us. Even if they did talk about it, they weren't discussing these things with us.
No. But I don't even think they were doing it with themselves.
True.
Like, I don't even think they were ever like experiencing or knowing how to juggle even their feelings, their emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? As a parent, Joe, what I'm learning about my parents, they were figuring it out too.
Yeah.
They were figuring it out too. They were trying to do the best that they knew how with what they had. So they were functioning on the capacity that they only knew.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the capacity that they knew.
Absolutely.
So it's like giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
And that's what I try to tell people, because, I talk to a lot of people sometimes and they're like, oh, my parents this, my parents this, I was raised this way. Like, sometimes it's like, you kind of got to just understand where they were at.
Right.
How they lived, like the shit that just was a norm back then, like you have to like understand that and say, like, look, I get, we know all of our stuff now. Like, we know, like, when someone is gaslighting or being a narcissist, all these different things. Yeah, that's the
big word now, narcissist.
Yeah, like all those different things, right? But guess what? Back then, like, this was just, everyone was raised on a different,
on a different level, different, exposure, different mindsets.
Yeah.
So
exposure is everything.
Exposure is everything. Absolutely.
And I like that you said that it was like someone that asked you a simple question of like, what do you like to do?
Yeah.
And that sparked it. And that you noticed that, because that shows, like where your mindset is. Because a lot of people wouldn't even understand that or even know, like,
or just overlook it. Like, oh, I can't think right now. But it was so much deeper than that, because I was literally left puzzled. Like, what do I like to do? Because I realized at that moment, my life and my being was always connected to something or someone else.
Because you're doing these different things and you're not focusing again on you.
Yeah.
And I always tell people that when they're trying to do that, everyone has their all different approaches, but you don't have to go like lock yourself in a room for 2 years
right.
and
soul searching.
Yeah, so like you don't have to do that, but just it's those little small steps that really, really matter. And it's like the things that sometimes it may sound silly, but it's you said, what are your priorities in life? What are your values?
Exactly.
What are your beliefs? What are your pet peeves?
Right.
What type of music do you really love?
Yeah,
Like,
it's. I feel the awareness is the light bulb. Just that's the biggest step. Being aware, like, wow, okay, this needs to change, or I need to work on this. Because you can have all these different things going on, but if you don't realize, it's just words.
yeah. And sometimes, I think it's funny because now that we say this too, I think a lot of people like the whole dating stage. When people are single and they're in a dating stage and they're getting to know each other.
Right.
I think a lot of times they probably like that because it stimulates their mind to get to know themselves.
Get to know themselves.
Because the other person is trying to get to know them.
Right. So it's like a clean slate and you're telling them your interests, your dislikes. So it's making you dig. And most importantly, it's making you think.
And I think people like that.
Yep.
They kind of always like that feeling. And then once it kind of gets away, that's when it starts getting regular. But a lot of people like that feeling.
Yeah, the newness.
But they don't do it themselves.
Right.
They wait for someone else to
start
get
it.
those.
Mm-hmm.
Or games, people do the games all the time.
Right.
And they'll do those and people enjoy them, but they don't just do them on the norm.
Right, on the regular. Mm-hmm.
Like I always tried to do it via like podcasting. And I kind of did it almost by accident because I was watching a lot of like motivational podcasts and I was doing a lot of personal development,
right,
a lot of professional development, and with all that too, and just starting to follow your heart,
right,
and following your dreams,
right,
you're gonna start realizing, oh wait, like I didn't even like that's like with this whole podcast, even me just doing that, like that one step of like, okay, you know what, I want to do this. This is a passion. That started making me very like aware of things and inquisitive of things within myself.
Wow, that's awesome.
That I put on a back burner.
Oh, you didn't even think about.
Yeah.
Give it a second thought.
I put it on the back burner like years ago. And then because of, being, like you said, all the different things that we are,
right,
they're just so deep.
Right. And as adults, we suppress a lot.
Hell yeah.
Especially as parents. We suppress because we're so worried about our offspring that it's like, we don't have time to think about us. Yeah. So we suppress because we have someone else or others that depend on us. Yeah.
And then we got to worry about it. And especially if you are a good parent or a parent that's really trying, you are going to put your all into that.
Absolutely.
Like I hear a lot of, all the time, a lot of parents, like I help people with, starting their businesses or, trying to grow their business or even, all those different types of things. And a lot of times it's, oh, well, I have kids. I can't do that or something. And it's like, trust me, I know it's hard.
Right. It's a juggle.
But don't let that cap you.
Yeah. Don't let it paralyze you or imprison you.
Yeah. Which I feel like a lot of people do. And again, they don't give themselves that time to be them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because, especially after everything that we've gone through as a nation with, COVID and all these different things, it was like, for me, that was another thing that gave me time because you're so on demand and you have to do this, you have to get there, have to work, that when the world literally stopped, it gave you that time to think. It was nothing else to do. You couldn't go anywhere. Yeah. So for me, it was like I was able to spend that extra time with my kids, but most importantly, spend that extra time with myself. Yeah. And, focus and, become aware of certain things and, and it really, in the meantime, built my faith also. Because I am a very, very faith-driven person, and I feel my faith has kept me through a lot of storms that I experienced, and it still does, and I literally had to connect with God and myself just to get through. Yeah. Just to get through. And it might sound something cliche or simple, but some days aren't the easiest. Yeah. Not every day is going to be sunny and peachy. Life is unexpected. Life is real. So.
And faith is one of the most powerful things. And, faith, a lot of times people think that they have faith.
Right.
But you got to have that strong faith. You got to have faith when times are rough.
Yeah, your faith will definitely be tested.
Yeah, there's a quote. I forget. It's like the true measure of of a man. You know, it's when they test your perseverance, and
Yeah.
it's real stuff, because it's like,
Absolutely.
you know, a lot of times people say they have faith, but it's like, okay, do you have faith when the rent is late? You know,
Right.
do you have faith when you got into that car accident?
Right.
Do you have faith when
You lost a
parent passed
family
away?
member? Yeah.
Is the faith? If you have the faith, then okay.
Right.
But don't just say you have faith during the good times,
Right.
or the times that you want to speak to them.
Right.
You have to have, like, the faith that comes in all those times. And I'm a firm believer that, at least, especially if we're talking faith,
Mhm.
once you truly, truly, truly have faith, and not just saying it because you know you want to,
Right.
you know, but once you truly, truly do, I think it unlocks like a fucking even more underlying layer of faith.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh wow, like, you believe? Oh, okay, let me start showing you.
Right.
And it's a constant battle. Like, faith is that constant battle, because it's going to trick you, and it's going to give you days. And you'll be like,
It's going to test your
It's
faith.
yeah.
I'm telling you, your faith will definitely be tested. And I always say, like, faith is like a muscle. If you don't exercise it, that's like you going to the gym. If you don't exercise, you're not going to be in shape.
Yeah.
But if you don't exercise your faith is not going to get stronger.
Yeah. You have to, like, actually be in tune again and not suppress that.
Absolutely.
For me, I was always years suppressing faith.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really, I didn't believe, you know, like, I believed, I thought I did.
Right.
But I didn't really, really believe.
Right. But you know what? Everything is a process. Nothing is overnight. You know what I mean? Like, you don't go to the gym one day and then you're all toned. It's a process.
Yeah.
It's consistency. And I believe that's how your faith is strengthened. Constant things, constant, you know, life situations and circumstances that's out of your hands, out of your reach. And that's when your faith is tested. That's when your faith kicks in. That's whatever's inside of you comes out.
Yeah. For me, it was a speaker. It was Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas, it was one sermon. It was at a church in Oakwood, I think he was in, and he did a sermon, and it changed my life.
Wow.
It was one speech, and it was like, and all it was a perspective shift.
Mm-hmm.
It was a perspective shift.
Right.
It was like, because, you know, especially with faith, and like, I don't really like usually to talk too much religion, but as far as whatever your faith is, whatever that is, it's like, you know, you'll maybe have a belief, but you're not like really believing. And for me, I was at a point where I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, there's maybe, you know, a God and all that, but he ain't watching me.
Right.
He ain't here with me.
Right.
He doing he with the other things. And I was at a point with my faith where I was really like, oh, like, you really not even ever passing by. Yeah. You never even checking in.
You didn't even have any.
Yeah, and I was just like, you're not passing in the club. Like, you're not even looking over here. Like, you're not doing shit. You're not even asking if I'm good.
Right.
But then I fucking heard the thing from the speaker. That shit changed my life, man. And then I realized, Joe, he was there the whole time. Like, you just didn't even realize it.
You didn't even realize it. And it's something that's a quote that says, when you feel like he's not there, the teacher is always quiet when you're going to take a test or when you're having a test.
Yo. Hold on. Dropping bombs over here.
I'm telling you.
Nah, that is so true.
It's true.
That is so true, because I was getting to the point.
Yeah.
I was getting to the point, like, come on, man.
I think we all do as human beings. You know what I mean? And we may feel that we can't take any more or our capacity is at its max. But we don't know what's in us until life happens and circumstances arise. You know what I mean? And for me, my faith was really tested when my mom was diagnosed and my son was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy in the same week, Joe. That was like a ton of bricks thrown on top of me. And I was just like, you know, I couldn't wrap my head around. Like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And that's a lot of things that we think when situations occur that it's happening to us. But we don't realize, because we're in the moment, that it's happening for us.
Exactly.
You know?
1,000%. And that's the biggest peace right there, because that's what it was. Because when the speaker, when they were speaking, it was, if anyone is listening to this or watching this and they want to watch the sermon, I have it. It's a clip I watch all the time. A lot of times I watch it when I'm feeling it.
You put that on.
I throw that shit on to remind me, Joe, wake the fuck up.
That's right. That's
you know
right.
What I'm saying?
Get up out of that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I play it, but the main thing was he made sense of everything that I thought was a curse. Everything that I thought that, like, all right, fam, God, like, you should have been there on that one.
Right.
It made sense. I was like, oh wow, like, okay. And then once I started, like, then going back to, okay, let me reflect.
Right.
Let me dig deeper now. Let me go back. And
Right.
I started, like, doing the math. That's what I always call it. I say, in life sometimes you got to do the math.
Right.
And I started seeing, oh damn, that happened because of that. And I'm talking like heavy shit. Like like when you can make sense, and it's hard.
Very, especially when you're in it.
Yeah, and you can make sense of, like, I can make sense of my mom being a heroin addict and passing away. I can make sense of that today. And it's sad because it sounds crazy and it's like, damn, but I can make sense of that.
Right.
Because if it wasn't for that, none of this would be happening.
Because you know why? You know what's the biggest thing with you? It was perspective. Your perspective changed. Yeah. So once your perspective changed, everything changed, because the perspective is the foundation. Yeah. So once the foundation changes, whatever else is built upon that foundation changes. Yeah. And that's why you're able to make sense of that. And I understand, and then, like you said, it may not be similar things, but I couldn't understand, like, why my son, why, I have an older son and I have a younger son. Why my son had to be in a wheelchair? Why is he? But you know what? It built, and it's still building things in me that if I didn't face these certain circumstances, I wouldn't be able to reach out, or I wouldn't be able to speak to other people and tell them, hey, you're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. And I really believe that things happen for a reason. And I don't say that to be cliche, but it does. And when you sit and you meditate and really try to find and get the bigger picture, it changes your whole perspective.
Yeah, because you want to start understanding those things. You start understanding. Same thing, because I believe, that's a sacrifice. Like, that's a sacrifice that we have to now do, because faith is, like, invisible.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that won't see it. So I'm a firm believer that the ones that come through those things and that get that are the ones that now need to send these messages. Like, for you may not have to go through that experience.
Right.
Because now it's like, okay, you're the sacrifice for that.
Right.
But now guess what? You're going to go help however many you help.
And you know what? And I tell people that all the time. I said, everything that I had to endure in that particular area of my life, if I could help one person, it was so worth it. And it's still worth it, because, it's consistent. It's not just an experience that occurred. This is a consistent thing. You know what I mean? But since my perspective changed on it, Joe, my outlook changed. My outlook changed. My attitude changed. My attitude changed. Everything else changed. And my son feeds off of me. So he's looking like, okay, I'm in this situation. I may not understand everything, but I'm looking at mom, and mom says it's going to be okay. I'm fine. Yeah.
And without that, you don't know if maybe he'd think it's okay.
Exactly.
And it's like, it's real shit, yo. And it's hard for people to see that and believe that, but it's all trial and error. Like you said, if you could help people,
Absolutely.
like that's why I always do what I do, because I know that it was for a reason, and it was because, like, that thing happened.
Right.
And it's like, okay. And to me, it always motivates me.
Absolutely.
Because it always motivates me to scale and to do more.
Right.
And to kind of keep going with it, because guess what? I'm going to make that sacrifice worth it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to make that shit worth it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to make all those hard times that I did not want to be here, that all this bull, everything, I'm going to make that shit worth it. I'm going to use that now to help as many as I possibly can through, while I can, with my own resources. That is worth it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because yes, of course, like we always say, you help that one person, it's worth it. Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna milk that shit. I'm gonna milk it, and I'm gonna keep trying to help as many people as I can through the creative ways as I can.
Right.
From that that pain, because I feel like that's the purpose. I feel like that's why.
Right. And I believe whatever you build builds you.
Yeah.
You know?
It does. Yo, real shit on here. And now you're doing like so many dope things. You out here. We heard before. We got flyers now. We got to start giving out. We got to hit the streets.
Yeah, hitting the streets.
We got to hit the streets. What flyers are we giving out, yo?
I'm telling you, Progress Not Politics. Nancy Cardone, Marge Brettweiser, and myself, Tyra Wright-Pagan, November 8th. 6 to 8 voting polls.
Yes.
Lodi Board of Education making changes.
Let's go. Be the
making
change.
Changes. You know, you could be a part of the change, or you could want the change. I choose to be a part of it.
Hell yeah, you got to be that change that you want to see in the world. And again, like, you don't know if you'd be doing that today if it wasn't for other situations. Like, you don't.
Exactly. And you know what? It's so amazing that you said that, because, you know, life, I always say, is a puzzle piece. It's like different puzzle pieces scattered. And you look at, like, that's like you have a puzzle box, and you dump all those pieces. It's scattered. Some of them are upside down. Some of them are all over the place. And it's like, it looks a mess. But once those pieces come together, it becomes a masterpiece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you said, I wouldn't expect to be given this opportunity, because that's what I call it. It's an opportunity to run for something so important, because my kids are my life. And if I could make a change or be a voice for other parents, other students, that is so rewarding to me, because it's always bigger than you.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's bigger than you.
Yeah. And again, if you wouldn't have been, you know, the cards that we're all dealt,
exactly,
you know, maybe now you wouldn't be in the position today to say, you know what, I want to make sure that now I can, you know, speak up.
Yep. But you know what was the biggest change? Perspective. I had to change my perspective on things.
Yeah.
And then once you change your perspective, then you get a better understanding.
Yeah.
And then you could flow from that.
What would you tell someone that maybe is kind of stuck in that middle process and hurt and feel like maybe they're not able to kind of shift that perspective yet, or they've tried and they're kind of drained, or even to the people that are out there that maybe just don't know or don't think that their voice could really, really matter? Because, you know, sometimes they always say like, oh, well, like, because it's funny, we didn't really speak about it yet, but I've actually been interested as well. Like, I'm thinking next year, maybe.
That'd be awesome.
But it's like, you know, when you talk to, like, you know, your close friends and stuff like that, well, you know, be careful, because there's so many other people that are, you know, you just get lost in the sauce because there's so many. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? No.
But you know what?
You got to be confident.
Fear has a voice.
Yeah.
Fear has a voice, just like faith has a voice. What voice are you going to listen to? Anything that you pursue, it's, especially if it's new, it's going to be scary. You're human. Yeah. But you have to push forward. And for the person that may be feeling stuck or feeling like, well, you know, I don't understand, first thing I would say to them, I've been there. And sometimes I have my moments where I'm still there. You know, we're all a work in progress. But one thing I will say is, even if it's something that you think is inadequate, you will be surprised how substantial that could be for the next person. I'm telling you. And I learned that through my own experiences. You know, what my norm is, people look at me like, wow, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. So what you think may be small because it's viewed in your eyes could be so big to someone else. And you could be giving someone else hope without even speaking. Just your actions alone and you stepping out, taking that risk. You don't know who's watching. Just like right now, you don't know who's listening. So whatever you have, and even if you think it's so small or insignificant, you will be surprised. Work with that. And you will be surprised what doors, opportunities, and what healing you will get
through it. That's so important, and that's one thing I say all the time. Like, I it's funny because I go to Century Park all the time in Garfield, and I go and I walk around the park, and then one time, like, I'll never forget, I saw a couple. And shouldn't even get me emotional over here. Okay. I saw a couple, and, you know, they playing soccer with their kid, and it just seemed like they were having the best time in the world. And I remember in that moment, I looked at them and I was like, wow, that made me feel a lot of joy, made me feel happy. For me, it was like, damn, like, I hope I could have that one day.
Right.
And maybe think about, Jaylene and
Right.
remember those moments. And for me, I was like, it was like an inspirational moment for me to like, okay, yeah, damn, that's goals. Like that's already been goals for me. But now that's just wow. That was a dope moment.
Right.
But at the same time, they would have never known that. They never know that. They will never know that.
Right.
And we go through lives and we do our things, and again, we don't know sometimes
the impact.
And I always tell people, like, even like I go to the 7-Eleven all the time, and I kick it with the guy Sean. He works at night, and sometimes seeing him, that conversation, the energy is sometimes that shit makes my day sometimes.
No, absolutely, and it's so funny that you say that because I love to socialize. Like, I interact wherever I go. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's so funny because I was in ShopRite. That's like my second home. Having 3 boys, forget about it. I'm there like every other night. So, I was there the other night and they're like, Tyra, where you been? We were just saying, like, where's Tyra? And you don't realize just a smile, a joke, or just an upbeat personality, you do not know what impact that will have. Yeah. And it's so amazing because you may think it's nothing, but for someone else, that could be everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It could be a lot. And you'll never know. Like I said, that couple at that park will never know.
Right. The impact.
And they could have been having a horrible day. They could have been arguing.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't know if they were,
they may have been struggling financially. You don't know.
Who knows? But guess what? In that moment, it was a powerful moment for me. And it was like, yeah, people never know. And then, even realizing that and understanding that method is a life-changing thing because, a lot of times when you forget, right. Or you start questioning your significance and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which a lot of us, at times you do.
We all have those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're human.
When you can remember that and you can see that and get that understand that, wow, like, your impact, sometimes you don't know what your impact is.
Exactly.
It's just life-changing shit.
Mm-hmm. It's true. So it's true.
You got to just keep doing you. Keep showing up. Keep being the best that you could be.
Right. Keep pushing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, keep pushing. Keep pushing. And, even the days where you don't feel like pushing, if you have so much in you, you'll be pushing without even realize you're pushing because that's all you know.
Yeah.
Second nature.
Yeah, keep the foot on the gas.
Who you telling? No brakes.
Yeah.
No brakes.
All gas, no brakes.
No brakes.
That's what I do. And, so obviously we're gonna speak it into existence, right? Obviously, you're going to be on the board. It's going to happen, right? All happens for a reason, though. Right. Whatever happens right. for a reason.
Absolutely.
But for you, like, what are some things that you would like to maybe bring up, or what are one things that maybe you want to change or you don't want to change, or maybe what are the things that you're going to want to have your ear out a little bit more, or kind of poke your head in the room a little bit? Right. What are things that you kind of want to focus on a little bit within that?
Well, my passion is to be an advocate for parents with children with special needs. That is my passion because I feel, in my family, Joe, I couldn't connect with anyone. No one had a child with, physical limitations. And I felt lonely a lot. I felt no one could relate to me. So my passion and my goal and something that I really want to do is to be that voice for parents and the students that you're not alone. We're going to ride this thing out together. You may be going through it, but you're not going through it alone. And the things and the knowledge that I do know, I want to share it. And the things that other parents may know, share it with me. I want just a door for parents with children with special needs to know. I want to build a community with that because it's so important.
And make sure that everything is going good. Make sure everything is going
good, and just make sure that, these children, because kids are so precious. They're our future. They're the future. You know what I mean? And to just have different opportunities for kids with special needs. Like, it was something that was so important. It's crazy that you were speaking about parks. For a very long time, Joe, I couldn't go to a park because it was like a constant reminder of my son's limitations. He couldn't run up the stairs, go down the slide. He couldn't get on the swing and jump off the swing. So it really would depress me. And to see that a special needs park is being built, it's like, yes, that's what it's about. I want to jump in on that. I want to be involved. I want to, promote that. It's coming because it's so much bigger than me. Because the things that I was feeling or still feel, someone else out there in this town may be feeling the same way.
100%.
You know what I mean? So I just want to be that voice. I want to be that advocate. I want to be that person.
You're doing it right now because I didn't know, and I try to be aware, and that's the thing that's so powerful.
Right.
So like that's actually being built in Lodi.
Yeah.
Where?
It's right across from the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, so that's okay because I see that they've been working on that. That's okay.
Yeah, and it's coming out so awesome.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful.
So awesome. And one thing about being so involved in your community, because I love my town, you know what I mean? And I feel like anything that you love should love you back. And just being in this town has been such a big impact, such a blessing. I've gotten to know so many great people, so many great parents, so many great educators, that I want to be involved. I have that passion to be involved because, this is a place I want to retire and that's it. I don't want to move out of here.
Yeah.
So I like to know what's going on. That's why I'm always at different events and everything like that, because of the fact that whatever you love, you're going to be present for.
100%. That's always been like my biggest thing too, is like, that's why, if anyone doesn't know, I'm actually on the board with you, the Lodi Board of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. And my biggest thing to be even that is because I want us all to know about what's going on.
Absolutely.
Like I want us all to know, because my biggest thing, and I've said on this pod many times, is I want everyone to know. I want everyone to have access to the information of what's going on. Right. Because, back in the day, or even, there's other towns all over, like, it's a lot of places. Right. If you're involved already in sports or X, Y, and Z, right, you know what's going on.
You know what time it is.
But if not, you don't.
Yeah, right.
And I grew up in this town not knowing a lot of what was going on. And I get it. That's, obviously parents' fault, your own fault, whatever. Right. But I still want to do what I could do. And if that's like, and I do it in my own ways, which I feel like that work. Like to me, it's like, yo, you know what? Let's get some new age social media tactics. Let's get some new age video interviews. Right. Let's get some new age like graphics. Right. Like that is what's going to connect sometimes those other people.
Absolutely. And also social media is big. We didn't have that back then.
Yeah.
So that was a closed door. Now social media is everything. And I feel, during the pandemic, it heightened it. Like social media was it. That was, everything was being live streamed or everything was being recorded. That was our way of connecting when we couldn't connect physically. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I feel in this time, that is such a huge thing that we have social media to market, to promote, to, make awareness of certain things. We have that tool. And I feel, that's awesome that we have it and using it the proper way.
Yeah, because now we could reach people that maybe we couldn't in other ways. And it's funny because I've always been big with social media, but when the pandemic happened, I was a little happy with certain, in certain ways that I was like, oh wow, now y'all like can learn it. Now y'all can learn like the Zooms and y'all can learn.
We were forced to.
And because it was crazy. But, a few years before that, I'm talking to businesses about how you need an Instagram and all these important, and sometimes they're looking at me like I got 5 heads.
Yeah, because it wasn't it wasn't as important because we were in person.
Yeah.
When we were forced to be confined, it was like, okay, now we got to think of another route.
And it's just, it's happening. Like I've been telling people, like, it's funny. I tell my father, I'm like, yo, for him, if it ain't made out of wood, he don't know how to use it.
What?
And I told him not too long ago.
Gotta learn.
Actually, I said, yo, you're not gonna be able to know how to use your fridge
soon.
Like and he thought I was being sarcastic, and I said this probably like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I was like, yo, you're not gonna be able to know how to use basic things in the future, because I've always been, especially with social, I try to project. Like right now, I'm looking into what's going to happen in like 5-6 years.
I believe it. That's just how your mind works.
Yeah,
especially it keeps going.
Especially with social. Like I think it's important because, again, like you said, the kids are our future.
Yeah.
The kids are our future. Tech is our future.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, you're not going to be able to know how to use your fridge if you don't get to know this thing. So when the pandemic happened, it like forced a lot of people to start learning it. And I was like, okay, wow, nice. And now it's dope because, again, in communities that now if we're on this board and I say, hey guys, let's do an interview on it. Now it's like people like, oh yes, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah.
A couple years ago, maybe it would have been like, oh, it would have been a waste of time.
Right, because it was in person. But
Exactly.
now, circumstances change. So it kind of forced us to use a different route.
To use the socials and to get creative with that. And, just speaking on the things that, again, that we wouldn't have had access to, because like the people that already know, they're already going to know. Right. The kids that do sports, their parents might already know, or the kids that are in these certain programs, they might already know. But the parent who maybe is working 3 jobs or 2 jobs and don't got time for all that stuff, and their kids maybe likes video games, maybe they're never going to see that flyer at the library.
Right. Or it's not put in their folder or whatever the case. You know what I mean?
So my thing has always been, let's just make sure that people know, because we live in a community, which a lot of communities are, way more populated and way more diverse than what the turnout is. And it's not because whatever it is whack. It's just because they didn't know about it. Like, we have a lot of fire stuff in our town.
We sure
Great
do.
night. And it's like, you look, and I'm always one big to like look at the turnout and be like, should have been way more. Should have been way more kids. And they probably just didn't know. And this is with everywhere, though. This isn't just this is all towns. Right. It's like, okay, so now we all just need to get creative in saying, okay, how are we going to get this family over here that, is not paying attention? How can we help get creative and make them want to maybe pay attention? Make it fun for them.
Make it fun. And these kids nowadays, especially mine, they know so much about social media, TikTok, and all this different stuff. It's like, okay, these kids now are teaching the parents. Yeah. Me, I'm like, how do you do this? I'll call my oldest. I'm like, how do you do this? How do you know how to do that? They're like, you want me to set you up a Snapchat? I'm like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, wow, these kids are so advanced because this is their generation.
Yeah. Imagine if all these schools, imagine if like the Board of Ed and all these schools, every school had a TikTok. Imagine if they were making TikToks explaining their like curriculums and their morals and their beliefs. Imagine if they had that.
Wow. That's something to think about.
Like the content that all these different, if they were doing it. Because again, it's like, tech is going to go. The kids are going to be on it. That's what they're paying attention to.
That's interesting.
It's not those old school mentalities. Like, it's tough, but we have to stay with the times, and it's like, even big corporations can do that too. Like, if, that's when you really start looking too, even like other businesses, because education is a business too, technically. You know what I mean? To reach the people that you want to communicate to, sometimes you need these tools.
Yeah. Understandable.
So I think this is really dope. I can't wait till November 8th.
Right.
I am hype. All right. This is going to be super dope.
Yes.
And anything else that you want to let the people know about what you got? You got anything going on? Is there going to be a party? Are we doing a celebration? A little get together? What are we doing? What's going on?
No celebration or anything like that. We're just making people aware. We definitely want to just say what our plans are, going into this and why we're running and the things that we want to do, and just letting people know a little bit about us, who we are individually, and, just seeing how things go, wishing for the best and taking it one day at a time.
Exactly. One day at a time. Faith and just trust in the process.
Absolutely.
It is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
But this was dope. I'm glad you came on.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You killed this too. Yeah, everyone. Nah, for real, you killed this. Everyone give a round of applause. You're a professional. You gotta start your podcast. You gotta start your podcast. When are you gonna start your pod? Hold on. When you gonna start your show?
You're killing me over here, Joe. I have no idea.
Because I heard through a little birdie that you maybe want to start some type of content or something.
Really?
What's up? You're going to get, a little content, YouTube or something? I think you should.
Really?
I'm just throwing it out there.
You're putting it out in the atmosphere.
I am just
speaking it into existence.
Some type of content. I feel like you got to be with a microphone and a camera more often.
Really?
Yes.
I'm a little nervous, Joe. I don't know.
Nervous? You just killed. You just smoked this.
I don't know, Joe. We gotta ask Princess what she thinks.
Yeah, no, didn't I tell you? I told you she be knocked out.
Yeah, she's chilling. She's enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, she's enjoying.
She's enjoying the conversation.
She's reflecting right now.
She's reflecting, taking notes, mental notes.
Yes. But okay, so at the end of the show, what I usually do is have people just shout out something you think is dope, something you think is slept on. Could be TV show, could be anything that you think is slept on out here. Could be, mine's gonna be this week. Getting a massage. A massage is really slept on, I think. Again, I have to, focus on you, focus on yourself. I was talking with a friend yesterday, and they were like, again, it was just the things about you that you suppress or never do. They're like, you never got a professional massage? I was like, no.
Oh, it's a must.
Yeah,
it's a must. And you know what? Once you start, you're gonna be like, oh, where have I been? Look, I need this more often.
I got one time on a boardwalk. And they said that didn't count.
No, that didn't count. You need to go to like Massage Envy, schedule an appointment.
Yeah, she was saying, you get like one. If you didn't get naked, it didn't count. and I was like, well, you know what? Let's not even get there. Anyway, so what's your shout out?
Well, you know what? My shout out, like I told you before, is always about parenting and stuff like that. I feel like shouting out just the whole routine of being a parent. See, people think, oh, you have a kid, Let me tell you something. Let me just tell you about my day the other day, Joe. And
Let's go. I'm with it.
All right. Now, I have 3 boys, 14, 11, and the little one will be 8 this month, okay? So 3 different age groups means 3 different schools, okay? So I'm over here in the morning. It's not easy getting 3 boys up. Forget about it, especially with PlayStation 4 and now it's football season. Yeah, so that's already a challenge within itself. So then I'm getting the boys up. They're all cranky. Then it decides to rain. So I'm dropping one off at the high school, dropping the middle one off. It's pouring down rain. I got to get the wheelchair out, get them in there, wheel them there, then getting the little one, pouring down rain, and then have to get to work. But you know what I said? I'm like, you know what, Tyra? Job well done. Oh, everyone got fed for breakfast. Everyone got to school on time. Got to school at work. So shout out to all the parents out there who's multitasking, especially who have multiple children. Some of that stuff, things, get slept on because it's not easy. Let me tell you that routine in the morning, getting them to school and carpooling and all of that, that's no joke with the traffic.
Hell yeah, that is no joke.
And especially if you have a job and you have to jump right on, going to work right after. That's big. You got to celebrate the things that you may think is little.
No, you are right. That is big, especially like you said, as they get, it's always different things. Every year, it's a different. When it's real little, it's like, oh, you're not putting on your coat. Like I remember when Jaylene was real little, when she was in pre-K, it was like she just did not want to put on the coat, or she would really like just for me to do it for her.
Right.
But then it's like when they get this, then they don't want to wake up, and then it's always something. But
constant.
It's the beauty of it. You make a lot of memories in those. Yeah. And it's tough, and you're molding them too in that process, and it's not easy. Nope. But like you said, it's definitely the appreciation for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's slept on.
You have exactly the appreciation and just like, okay, wow, it's a lot, but guess what? I got through it. I handled it. Everyone's good. Everyone's in school on time because it may be something small, but other parents could relate to this. Like, yes, I hear it, because you don't know the traffic, especially if it starts raining and stuff. It's like, oh man, yeah. Oh, how am I going to get there? Or am I going to get there on time? Then you got to drop one off on this side of town and the other one on another side of the town. So, I feel like, some of that stuff, you may think that is small, but it's big.
No, it is. It's a big deal. And that also can throw someone's whole day off.
Whole mood off.
Yeah. And then not want to focus on themselves. And it goes all full circle.
Exactly.
I feel that. Look, Tyra, this was fire. You can come back on anytime you want.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
For real. Anytime. And start whatever you want to start. Start a pod, start a YouTube, start a
oh my God.
Whatever. Start a Facebook blog.
He's getting me nervous.
Yes. And also, Connie got a pod. So
shout out to Napoli's Pizza.
Yeah, so you might have to be back here again because she records here, and I don't know. I think she wants you on the show soon.
I don't know. Let's just see what, we just calling things out in the atmosphere. Let's see what happens.
Yes. But this was fun. Therapy without a degree. Also, you guys could check out the series. If you guys don't know, we have the limited edition web series. We have those 3 episodes out. First episode, second episode, third episode. We filmed those in COVID, and it was all independent.
Awesome.
And it was. We're actually I'm gonna play the trailer, and we're gonna put it in the video.
Nice.
At the end, so y'all can end out with the trailer.
Nice.
We're gonna watch it, and then I'll put it on the screen
Okay.
here. So if you're into drama and all that fun stuff of TV, you guys would really enjoy it.
Awesome.
So we will put it here. So that is out now.
Hey.
Okay, on YouTube. You guys can go check it out, and it's probably not going to be there for too long because we're thinking about pulling it down and submitting it to some film festivals.
Nice.
So if y'all got, y'all want to watch some little TV, go check that out. Therapy Without a Degree. We out of here. This was fun. Be safe. Go make sure November 8th you're voting. We out of here.